Podcast.
I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Glow.
And I'm Kyle. We're the fuck's Morning Throners.
Welcome back to another episode of your favorite Game of Thrones podcast. We're the Morning Throners talking Dany. VII, baby.
Oh, hell
do you think?
yeah. Huge slave trade action.
You know, I didn't really care for this chapter.
It was a middle of the road chapter.
I think it was kind of
Kyle,
cool
what are your
because
thoughts?
she was asserting herself in the Dothraki. Like, she was coming into her own, but yeah, you're right.
For sure,
kinda,
it just seems like a little bit of a cock tease because like we get to see like what happens after the Dothraki go off on a town, but we don't really get to see them going off on the town.
Yeah.
We just see like all the bodies
fair.
Off on the
and
town
shit.
and another Dothraki clan.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, where are we at? I'll show this map just so you can see where we're at. But go
I
ahead,
was
go
just
ahead.
going to say,
Yeah,
it also
so
shows that, like, she has a little more principles than Viserys probably did, you know, Viserys.
Yeah, you don't think he would have cared about these slaves?
Yeah.
Oh, Viserys would have
I don't think he
been
would have cared either.
taking his from the lot and banging them too.
He would have been claiming slaves just so he could rape them too.
He would have been in line. Yeah.
He would have been in line.
All right, let's see this map.
So they were in Vaes Dothrak. I guess they went south. Where are they at right now?
You see the purple
They're
shading
in a
right
little
here?
purple
That's where
bullshit.
they're at, somewhere in there.
We don't really know. They're somewhere north of this Kahazadan.
Where's Vaes Dothrak?
Vaes Dothrak's up here near this mountain. Mother Mountain, Womb of the
Oh, yeah,
Worlds,
yeah,
Vaes
yeah,
Dothrak. And then the only other like real landmark we get is at one point Jorah says to Dany, like, oh, we should take these slaves, go down the river, sell them at Marine, which is this city right here at the mouth of Slaver's Bay. And then from there we can buy ships. And Slavers, you can't see it, but Slaver's Bay opens up into an ocean where you could access Westeros from. That's not like a.
That's
sea,
what
right?
a bay is.
It's like a freaking sea. It's not a lake. It's not a lake.
Thank you, Jeff.
Exactly. Thanks, Jeff. And yeah, like it seems. So these people are what are the name of these people that have this town? Like, what's their culture?
Goat fuckers.
The Lambsmen or
It's
something like that.
basically that's how the Dothraki refer to them. Anyone know their?
But so here's the thing. Aren't they Dothraki too, though?
Not really. She said they look similar, and at first she like couldn't tell them apart, but then like when she was in there for a little bit, she could tell them apart.
Yeah, but I thought they were still like very.
She said she could
maybe
tell
they were
them
different tribes.
I mean, it's
is the
probably like
way
the difference between like
It's probably like the Indians and Pakistanis.
Italians and Greeks.
She said that they had like flatter faces and stuff. They had like appearance differences. It wasn't just like you wouldn't know if they changed their clothes type thing.
But I thought we had talked about how they fucked up other Dothrakis too, though. Is that a different fight?
Well, that's true. No. So there was two different armies that both attacked this town at the same time.
Okay, I thought the
And Count Drogo's army killed the other army and then killed the town.
Okay,
So the people in the
it's been
town
a
are
week.
called. You're good. The people in the town are called Lazarene, and that's what so like under this river you can see that there's a thing that says Lazar. That's like this It's like this territory. So the people that live here are the Lazarene. So
gotcha.
that's just what they're called. And yeah, they're called like the sheep people. And why are they called the sheep people?
Because instead of horses, they're
They're the lamb men.
they keep sheep.
Yeah.
Right?
They're herders,
Yeah.
right? Aren't they just
Even-
herders?
Yeah, but even to the point, I don't know if it's even that that's their main trade. I think they definitely have a lot of sheep, and that's like one of their major trades. But it seems to me potentially based on their religion, right? They literally like the Dothraki literally like think that the god is called the Great Stallion or something like that. Maybe that's what they
Great
think.
Shepherd.
That's what they think Dany's kid's gonna be named or something. They worship like a horse god or something, I think. And then the Lazarene, they worship the Great Shepherd, is what they're saying at the end here. So yeah, it just seems like basically the same thing. And it's weird because a horse doesn't even seem like a like aggressive animal, right? Like at the end, they're like towards the end of the chapter, I was like, the horse like doesn't talk to the sheep, like fuck you. And then that's when Dany's like, the dragon eats all you fuckers, like it doesn't matter. It doesn't seem like the horse is like, in my eyes, that much more of like a dominant animal than a sheep, right?
Dude, horses are like strong as fuck animals.
I mean, a horse will fucking donkey kick the shit out of a sheep, dude.
For sure, but like
I
you
got
think it's
what
like a
you're
wolf
saying.
versus it's like a wolf versus sheep. You
It'll
think
bite your
If they
fucking
worship like
nose
a wolf,
off, that's
a
for damn
wolf
sure.
god.
Wolf, one wolf versus one horse. The horse got a
Horse
shot.
wins.
The strength of the wolf's in the pack, not in the solo wolf. Let's be serious.
It's just weird that I guess I'm just bringing up the parallel that in Westeros that like the Lannisters are always like, I'm a lion, I'd fuck you up because I'm a lion, and the Stark's like, I'm a wolf, I'll fuck you up because I'm a wolf, and like we haven't really got there, but even like that Tyrells who their sigil's like a flower, they'll say shit like, "Oh, our farts smell like flowers" and shit like sarcastic comments like that, right? Where it's like based on your sigil, it's like personified your sigil, or not even personified, but you take on the like that, and they do it in like they do it over here too, but just with like their gods that they worship instead of
their families. I mean, they're worshiping their families in Westeros more than these people. All right, so. It's the end of a war, right? Or a battle. I guess it's not much of a war.
It's more of just a massacre. There's just like bodies everywhere.
A massacre.
Piles of bodies.
Yeah. We know from Dany's wedding that, I mean, people were dying at the wedding and there was a lot of fucking going on. So this tribe, this cow, they like to kill. So now they want to celebrate their kills with a lot of fucking.
Yeah. And they're raping people, and there's like a few other things she mentioned, just like in passing.
Just in the pile of corpses.
Well, yeah, the girl who gets raped is getting raped on top of a pile of corpses, but just like a few other things that we went over. They have like,
and just getting trained on, just getting passed off.
Yep.
Dude, you know what was crazy when I was thinking? You can keep this in or you can take it out. Just think about like this girl's getting nutted in. Probably, right? They probably nutted in her, and then the next person just goes right in.
I mean,
they don't get no
gangbangs, right? People have gangbangs. That's what that is, right?
Into that. Yeah, like whatever.
I don't know. Do they nut in her and then the next guy goes?
I guess they don't really care about their own semen touching.
Like, they're all like just banging in front of it. You're banging on a corpse, man. Like I don't know that you have standards.
That's the last thing they're worried about.
Yeah, I don't think they're worried about this. A little bit of jizz.
I mean, just think about the STDs and the cow. Just saying. I mean, that's what I was thinking. Like, wow, like he just finished. Now this dude's just throwing right in. Like,
I mean, I've seen his videos online, and I thought the same thing, but I doubt the Dothraki care about that.
No, I'm sure they don't. But that's what I was thinking.
Is the one thing we skimmed over? They have this thing called I don't know if you guys remember this. You guys read it a few days ago. The jraijin. There's like this group that comes in after a battle.
Oh, and they clear the battlefield.
They just cut all the heads off.
They cut the heads and there's someone else that goes by and gets all the arrows and shit too, right? So they're not wasting.
Little girls go and collect all the arrows, and then there's a pack of feral dogs that come in and clean up all the bodies afterwards. But I was like, what the fuck do these guys do? We chop off the heads of the dead or dying, and then when we meet Drogo,
doesn't he have a head?
They said there's a pile of heads next to him as tall as he is. So I'm like,
they're probably just like all his like it's like a kill confirmed. Yeah. It's probably just like a kill confirmed thing. Like it's not a real kill unless you have their head. Heads. I'm just kidding. I was just kidding. But
is he taking all the bells from their hair or something?
He takes the bells from the other two cows that he kills.
Yeah, he doesn't take it from.
He says that.
Do only cows wear bells, or does everyone?
No, I think everyone. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so maybe he's claiming all the bells. I don't know, but why the hell do you want a stack of heads next to you?
I think that's part of their culture is the kill, right?
I don't know. At least drink your beer out of the skull or something, dude. Just why are you stacking heads?
Maybe he needs a new set of mugs. Yeah, he had to bring all the heads.
Then I'm okay. I'm okay with it.
He needs a wedding gift for that other cow, so he's making him dinnerware. No, I don't know. Like I said, I think that's just probably just it's another thing to add to your legend. Like I heard, like it's like those Dothrakis, they fucking cut off everybody's heads.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's just part of their like ridiculously savage culture, but
yeah, that's I guess. Thank you.
Just like real quick, I have this excerpt. It just kind of goes along with what we were saying about the heads. They just talking about how like just savage the Dothraki are, and it just says. So this is just when she's like riding along outside the town on the way in. This before the rape even happens. Dany saw one boy bolt and run for the river. A rider cut him off and turned him, and the others boxed him in, cracking their whips in his face, running him this way and that. One galloped behind him, lashing him across the buttocks until his thighs ran red with blood. Another snared his ankle with a lash and sent him sprawling. Finally, when the boy could only crawl, they grew bored of the sport and put an arrow through his back. It's like they're literally just like fucking with this like little kid who's like running for his life.
It's just the mountain man.
What do you mean the mountain man?
Not the mountain man. The hound. That's what I meant. Not the mountain.
Oh, and Micah.
That's similar, yeah.
I mean, he did the same
Butcher's
thing.
boy.
I don't think the mountain toyed with him, or the hound
we
toyed
don't know.
with him. I think
He
he
could have
cut him down, but
I bet he fucking ran him around for a while.
Yeah, I can see that.
Maybe I could see it. I wouldn't be surprised.
I can't. I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, based on what we know about the hound, Ned said his body was cut like literally in half, right?
Yeah,
or like near in half. Yeah. Yeah, so they talk about this rape. So I guess Jorah basically gives the overview of the battle and at least like what the cow did.
He killed the other cow, and then
Cow
when he
Ogo.
died, his son became the next cow, and then
he
he
killed
killed
him
him too.
Which is weird because like Drogo claims that, but based on what we know of like Dothraki culture, like when a cow dies, it's
It
not.
goes to the
doesn't.
next strongest guy, right?
They
Not
just kind of have a fight, and whoever is like, if somebody wants to dispute it, there's a fight, and whoever wins the fight becomes cow. So I doubt that was like that took place in the middle of a battle, but I think Drogo is probably. Like the guy, I'm sure the son,
win, man.
I'm sure the son was probably high up in the pecking order to be the next cow. So yeah, we'll give it to him.
Well, his son had bells, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, some
again,
have
I don't
bells
think
too,
you
but
need-
not
I don't
all
think you need a cow.
cows have it. Everyone in the clan.
What we've
basically
heard
gets
about the
them.
bells is you get bells in your hair until you suffer defeat.
That's
but
what
they
that's,
really
I guess
don't
what I was
go
getting
into
at
what
is,
that
like,
is.
his son has obviously been doing stuff. It's not like his son was nobody.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
true.
exactly.
True.
But,
Real quick before we move on from this, it talks about Jorah, and before he enters the fight, he rolls up in his armor and he's getting shit talked by some of the
Everybody's laughing at him.
Dothraki, and he's like, "Yo, fuck
yeah.
you guys, I'm gonna live still." And the other guy gets pissed off, and he basically kills one of the people in like Khal Drogo's Khal Lasar before the fighting even
was
starts.
that today or was that like?
Yeah, I think they
I
were
would say it
prepping
was
to go
probably
to
at
the
the
battle.
beginning of the fight.
But,
Yeah.
I thought it was maybe when Jorah first showed up with them, but maybe.
Nah, maybe. I didn't. I'd have to read again.
No, I feel like
I took it as it was right before this
For
fight.
some reason, I thought it was before this fight too, but I could see Kyle being right.
Yeah, but I feel like he would have gotten more people fighting him in the beginning. But
just
people
a
respect
new-
him now.
A newbie shows up and kills a guy.
Yeah,
He's
and
been
I
wearing
feel
this
like
armor
other
the
guys
whole
would
time.
try to kill him.
I don't think we've heard of him wearing armor. We've heard of him wearing like
Chainmail, at least. I don't know if it really
maybe
matters either way,
chainmail.
but
I mean, he's in like full. Sounds like he's in full like. You know,
Gear.
like, yeah. I'm trying to think of what's the fucking tourney game where they
jousting.
jousting. Sounds like he's in like jousting armor, like full fucking.
He's got a flat top helm, yeah, gauntlets.
And the one weird thing about the first Cal Ogo, he was at Dany's like feast where Viserys died for their kid.
Yeah.
Yep.
They even talk about
Well,
it.
they
Put your
even
shit
said
aside
like
there,
while
yeah.
they were
Yeah.
there they couldn't fight, but like now that it's out in the open
Yeah,
field, like
yeah,
it's
just
fucking
weird.
on.
Just weird Dothraki culture, yeah. But yeah, so they pass this girl. Dany says this girl can't be any older than she is. So 14 max. Getting raped on top of a pile of corpses, and there was literally like a line of people like waiting to be next. And she's like,
So
I'm
fucked
blood
up.
of the dragon, I can deal with this, and just like kind of like walks on at first. And then basically she's like has enough of it, and Jorah's talking more about the slaves. He's like, we're gonna end up with 10,000 new slaves from this one fight from both the other Cal and these people. And this is when he says like we should take them down to Slaver's Bay, so what I showed on the map earlier. And she's just trying to think that like this, trying to tell herself that this is the price of like the Iron Throne and like being like basically who she is, right?
Yeah, you got to be a conqueror, right? It's gonna happen every place she goes until she takes over the kingdom.
Yeah, and again, this is where Jorah says if we sell them at this place, we can get enough money to go there basically right now, which is their goal, right? Because the last Dany chapter, we didn't go over the recap, but last Dany chapter, she got the poison attempt, right? And then Drogo comes back from killing the big white lion, gives her the big white lion pelt, and Dany's like, oh, this guy tried to kill me because there was a letter from Westeros, and he's like, fuck this, we're going to Westeros.
I will give her a throne of iron.
Yeah, exactly. So like that was the end of the last chapter. This is like 2 or 3 weeks later. I didn't really go over the timeline either, but that's kind of where we're at.
So they say Marine, right? Where's is Marine?
What's in the bay?
That's in the
Yeah, it's
bay.
right
That's
by
what
the bay.
that's what
Okay.
Jorah says, just because
They'll pay the most.
they'll pay the most. Yeah, I think that's what he was getting after. And we know Jorah is the big he knows all
Slave
about the
seller.
slave prices. Yeah,
That's true.
exactly.
He knows
I
where to
mean,
get
he
that
sold
dollar.
like he
Yeah.
sold slaves once. I doubt he's like that well versed on actually like the inside scoop, but he seems to speak good knowledge most of the time.
Yeah, it sounds like he has a pretty good understanding of this whole trade system that they got going over there.
Yeah. So, basically, the girl being raped screams, and Dany can't take it anymore, and she tells Jorah to put an end to it. And
He's like, the fuck you just asked me to do?
Yeah,
I can't do that, Khaleesi. Chill out, bro.
And the other two men so Dany has like a cause, which are kind of like her blood riders, I guess, her personal bodyguard.
Yeah.
A few of them are Ago, Caro, Ricaro, and Joho. So Joho and Caro are just like baffled when she says this. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And Jorah's like, yo, this is how it is, dude. Like this, they won. That's their prize. Like they bled for the cow. Like this is what happens. And Coro says that she's a lamb girl and she is nothing. And he says that the riders are doing her honor. The lamb men lay with sheep. It is known. It is known the handmaid echo. Eerie, who's also like a very young girl, is totally okay with watching this other young girl get raped just because this is how it is. And is Eerie a slave?
Probably, to some degree.
I mean, she's a handmaid for Dany. I don't know how that works.
I'm sure she was probably a girl from like one of these things.
Or another
well, no, she's okay, maybe from another Khalasar. She's Dothraki.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Doria,
she's probably a slave at some point,
her
right?
other handmaid, Doria, is definitely a slave, but she's
well, she's like a white girl, isn't she?
She's white. She's
like
Doria.
White girl. White girl.
Yeah,
white girl, like it's the race of the Westeros. Or
yeah, I mean she's Lyseni, but she's not Dothraki. Is the point? But yeah, it's just weird that Eerie, who's obviously also like pretty young, is just totally fine with this. And then obviously Jakaro's also like, yeah, it's like, this is how it is. And he's like, if her wailing offends your ears, I'll bring her your tongue. It's like, oh yeah, that's gonna make me happy. I'm upset about that girl getting raped. Why don't you go cut her tongue out? That'll make me.
I mean, she'll still make noise, right? It'll just be like, ah. Like you can make noise without your tongue, and you just can't make words.
I hope to never hear the noise of a tongueless person being raped.
Yeah, I don't know if I need to know that.
I mean, just think about their childhood. They grew up in this. It's like, just imagine your whole life is watching people fight, die, get raped. You're at a wedding.
Sold.
People are getting killed and raped at a wedding. Like that shit's just what they do.
So Dany basically says, this is what Kyle's talking about. She's kind of coming into her own here, and this is bold, right? She's literally in the middle of like a war zone, and they always say like people's blood. What do they say? Their bloodlust gets up after a battle or whatever. And Dany is a 14-year-old girl and steps into that. Is like, nah, I'm commanding you. Stop this shit. And I think she's lucky Jorah's here. I don't know if this goes over. I mean, her first off, her cause. I doubt you guys know all these names, but like the ones I mentioned, Ago, Joho, and Ricaro and Caro, they seem like pretty loyal to Dany, like throughout these chapters. The other ones we see later, Drogo's blood riders, Kaloho, Hago, they're kind of dicks, and Coro, they're kind of dicks, but
they don't really care for Dany.
Coho. Yeah, they're not a big fan of Dany, but these guys do seem loyal. So, but Jorah being here definitely helps, because when she says that, he's the first one. He's like, "As you command," and this is when he kind of like impresses Dany. He says, "You are your brother's sister in truth," and she's like, "Viserys?" And he's like, "No, Rhaegar." And then he like goes and stops this rape.
I think the craziest part is that she did this without. I mean, she doesn't do this with Drogo there, because Drogo's probably like cheering shit on. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like take your girl.
She speaks up in front of him later.
Yeah, I was gonna say it does happen in front of him later. But so actually, and not to be, but I'm gonna do it to you. So actually, Hogo, however the fuck you said his name, Jogo is the first one to agree with her.
I was gonna say, I think one of the,
and then Quaro follows
her
and he has bells in his hair. It's mentioned. And then she says, "Go with them to Jorah," and then he gives in.
The as you command?
Yeah.
I just have the as you command, okay.
Yeah, before that, the other two
Let's go,
are already
Jogo.
on their way.
Fucking badasses.
Nice.
I'm going to be the first one to say, and it might sound terrible when you play it back, but if you're, like, this isn't her people, and she's trying to, like...
It is now.
It is now.
But she's still not
I know,
in charge.
I understand. This is, like, years and years of ingrained culture.
Like, you could see... The writers looked at her with cold black eyes. Like, she's not going to be well liked. Once this spreads through the common people...
This is going to come off well, too, but, like, think about it the other way around. This is, like, say somehow the king of Westeros marries a Dothraki queen, and then after a battle, she's, like, walking around like, yo, fucking rape her. Why aren't you raping that person? You know what I mean? And they're like, "Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing there,
fucking
queen?
rape
like,
her, dude."
And they're like, "That's not how we do shit."
Why are we
I don't
selling
care.
these slaves right
She's
here?
like, "I don't care how you do shit. This is how I do shit. Go rape them." Right? It's kind of the same thing back. It's not quite the same thing backwards because it's rape, but it's like it's got to be that same amount of culture shock for those people, right? Who she's saying don't do that. It's be the same thing as somebody almost commanding you to do that in a different culture. I
just think it's strange. Like you're trying to fortify your army, right? To fight for you. Like they don't. Like none of these riders give a shit about your throne.
Well, I think this chapter, along with what Kyle said, that she's growing into her own, shows that some of the people are also respecting her as a member of like this culture, and specifically like the people you're talking about, Jahogo, Ago, these guys, right?
Yeah, and like I mean, how does any change for the better happen? Somebody has to speak up eventually. So especially somebody in power, you know.
For sure. So but you know what happens when people try to make drastic changes.
Civil War.
Just in our own history.
It's always pushback.
Really, at its base level, it isn't that drastic. But I understand that this is in the culture.
It doesn't seem drastic for us because it's like
ingrained in the
obvious
culture, but it's really not that drastic of an action here. Like,
it's similar to America 200 years ago.
Like that's.
Hey, could you not enslave people anymore? No, we're gonna go to war over this bullshit, guys. It's basically, similar.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but it doesn't make it any more right, I guess, to be doing those things. If even if you're willing to fight over it.
But we're also talking about these guys who are like, I mean, it's just not right or wrong to them. This is right to them.
I mean, aren't there countries that like have slavery and like we know about it and like we don't do anything about it?
China.
I don't know if that's true.
That's 100% true.
Is that true?
Yes. There's all this stuff on the internet right now.
But it's like they're getting $30, 30 cents an hour.
We have a lot of international viewers. Don't be slandering countries if you can't back it up.
It's like the Uyghurs or so. I don't know how you say the name of the group. I'm sorry. I apologize. But isn't it like the Muslim Chinese people are getting like camped away and like shot and shit?
Yeah, they're getting camps and shit. I don't know if they're slaves, but they're definitely getting like carted away into camps.
I don't have the slightest clue.
Yeah, I don't pay attention. But I'm just saying, like
what I was saying, like, and I was trying to think of like an example of something that's just so normal in our world. I mean, it's awful, right? It's the rape is probably like one of the worst things you do, other than kill a person in our country now. But in this, it's their culture, so.
This is going to start an argument because you're a football coach, but it's honestly like if somebody took over and they're like, yo, football is like bad for your health. It causes like there's just evidence that it does not help people's like safety and like just outlawed football. Just imagine the outcry, right? Exactly. And I would hate that because I love football. And I just think there should be probably better education about it. But like, fuck it. If you want to take that risk, take that risk. I think it's probably worth more to play football and take that risk than it is to not, as somebody who's gone through it and definitely gained a lot. But like if somebody come in and like outlaw somebody, like that's something that makes sense. If somebody came in and like, it's like gun control. I don't want to get there. It's like,
don't say gun control.
It's like fucking gun control. I'm going to say it. Gun control makes sense. But like, I understand why there's a huge outrage. It's like just so much part of it's exactly what gun control is. Like, it makes sense to just ban it, right?
Yeah, no, that probably is the closest thing. And you see how.
But you're not.
I don't agree with banning guns.
You're not inherently hurting.
I like guns too.
Another human,
but
just by owning something.
For sure.
But they don't think that they're hurting humans. They think they're hurting lesser
that's exactly
things.
The point. And I think Dany is here, like I said, trying to make a change for the better. From her position that she has. And like, look, these are still fucking people.
Exactly.
You can't bend her over the fucking pile of bodies, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Headless bodies.
Like, yeah.
If you want to bang her, fucking marry her, you piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what she says later.
Bang her under the stars.
So she ends up taking this slave on to be
this is
her own slave.
Real quick, I'm going to bring this up. Yeah. So that's what happens. She basically says no. And the reason I'm bringing this up now, the frag count. The only people who get frag counts here, I think, is Ago gets 2 people because he kills people with arrows. But there was like how many people just fucking went off in this battle, and Ago's the only one that gets any frag. I think Ago and
still confirmed kills.
Did Drogo get 2?
I didn't even give Drogo 2, even though he kills the cows.
Because it didn't happen in the book.
It didn't happen in the chapter. That's been the precedent so far. Yeah. Like we hear about other people killing people, but we never know.
Let it roll. That's the truth. Let it roll.
And this we're not trying to be comprehensive. Like this isn't every kill, obviously, these people ever had. It's just in the story how many kills. In the story. How's that?
Yeah. So Dany saves that girl, but really doesn't talk to her. Right? He's like, "I claim you," and then doesn't really talk to her at all.
She's still a slave. It's not like, oh, I claim her to be like a better person.
She's gonna be though.
She's stopping him from being boned by 30 guys.
It's going to be a better life. If you're the queen slave versus any other slave, and especially the queen enslaved
So
you.
here's my problem.
I think it depends on the queen.
I was going to say, and she enslaved her as a compromise because she knew she couldn't let her go anywhere. She had nowhere to go. She essentially took her in as like an orphan.
Remember earlier in the book when I was telling Kyle that slavery is a better option than some alternatives, and you're like, well, Nelson supports slavery. And I was like, you'll see later in the series, do you think getting raped on top of corpses and then killed is better than being slave? Good talk, Kyle.
So here's my problem, because we know that she continues to go through here. She continues to go through here and does the same thing with other girls, right?
Everyone that's getting raped, she frees them. Yeah.
But she doesn't do it with everyone.
Yes.
Everyone she passes.
I think she saves like 5. Or something. It was a low number.
Jorah speaks up at number 4, but we don't hear about how many happen after that. But yeah, you're right. I was thinking the same thing. Like, how many people did this really happen to? But Jorah's like, you can't do this to everyone after the 4th.
And she's like, yes, I can. Watch.
But she didn't. But she didn't save everybody. So like, that's my problem. Like, if you're gonna save these 7 girls, but let the other 80 continue to get railed.
It's not all or nothing, man.
It should be all or nothing.
Progress comes in small steps.
What do you
Again,
mean it
like
should
what
be
we
all
said.
what do you mean it should be all or nothing?
Why does it matter at all that she saved 7 people and still let
Incremental change.
however many?
Because that's 7 people that aren't getting raped.
But
That's
there's
7
still
less. It matters if you're one of those 7.
Sure, but what if you're not one of the 7?
Then it doesn't matter at all.
Why doesn't that person matter?
She doesn't walk by them, dude. She walked by 7 girls, saved 7
disagree.
That
girls.
person does matter, but
I disagree.
Yeah.
She did nothing by
That person-
saving 7
that
people.
person
however many
matters,
days,
but-
because she let even more people suffer.
I'm not saying that person doesn't matter. I'm saying that person matters. But the fact that Dany saved other people doesn't matter to that person, right? Because they don't know.
But it does though, because it puts hope in that other person as well.
They don't know. I'm saying they don't know.
If they ever find out.
They do know.
No, because if they knew, then Dany would know that they're getting raped because they're like nearby, and Dany would stop that rape as well.
Dany dropped the ball.
She doesn't have ravens to
What is
send
they
to every
supposed to
freaking
do?
person in the Khalasar and say, hey, no more raping.
Tell the
Well, at the very
Khalasar to
first thing
stop
we
raping
said
these
all
people.
this was that like you can't make sweeping changes all at once, right? Like you can't come in and just fuck their culture like that. So like 7 that's a ton of people to be saved compared to how many were saved after the last battle, Jeff.
Correct. Agreed.
So incremental change is better than staying the same. How's that?
So I don't know.
All right, on to the next section. I have no idea what's up.
Drogo. Next section is they find Drogo. Yep. So basically, we got Dany riding up to Drogo. Dany's with her cause. So the weird people with weird names: Jahogo, Ago, Ricaro, and Caro, and Jorah, and now some number of slaves, and Eerie, and potentially other handmaids. Walk up, and we got Drogo kneeling at this temple, this squat mud temple with a bulbous dome. So I don't understand what this temple looks like. It's square, mud, but has like, what's that famous building in
Taj Mahal.
Where is that? Russia? Is that Russia?
Oh yeah, Russia has them too.
Taj Mahal's where?
Mosque?
No, Taj Mahal's in like
Mosque is a place. Mosque is a place.
Oh no, I mean like the style. Like a mosque normally has that dome shape.
Oh.
I think. I don't
Pantheon?
know.
Whatever. It looks like that. That seems like a complicated structure to build, and then it has a base, a mud foundation.
Yeah, Adobe.
Well,
you
also
hear of
like
Adobe houses, dude?
Also, this village doesn't seem like it's been here. To me, it doesn't seem like this village is like a long-lasting village. It's been around for a long time because Lily Dany says like the Dothraki don't allow people to be north of this river earlier in the chapter. So like to me, that means that they've been here for like maybe a couple years tops. I mean, I'm totally guessing on that, but it just seemed weird to have like an actual like nice temple. I mean, I guess the Miriam Az-Dor later says that she like learned from her mom about the temple. I don't know.
I have no idea.
It just seems weird that like this place is such like in such a horrible spot that you literally get attacked by 2 Khalasars at the same time, but somehow this has existed for an extended period of time before that without being attacked. Seems weird.
George dropped the ball, man.
I don't know.
Yeah, fucking George.
That's a plot hole.
Learn how to write, George.
So
but he's hanging out there and his tits hanging off. You missed that part.
Kind of. I don't get a good picture of how bad this cut is because
He
Jorah
lost a
explained that
nipple.
it's not that bad. He lost a nipple, but then later it says that Miriam Azdor like folds the flap of skin back over.
Well, she said it was like hanging
Yeah,
off.
it's
of him.
hanging.
So is the
hanging.
nipple there?
Yeah, the nipple's hanging, dude.
Okay.
You think
So
so?
it has his nipple.
I think
That's what I'm wondering. How do you get a flap of skin hanging if the nipple's gone? Seems like you either lost a piece of skin.
I think it's both. How's that?
He lost the nipple, but there's more skin hanging.
Yeah.
That's a lot of. The thing is, that's a lot of skin.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why they're like, dude, you need fucking help. You're bleeding to death.
Yeah.
Your chest is hanging open.
And he also has an arrow in his arm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And he's just like, this arrow is the bite of a fly. And then and they already had healers.
You're not gonna take that out, bro.
And they already had healers come up to him, and he's like, nah, I'm good. Go help them first. Which is like a pretty cool thing to do if you're the leader of like an army, but
He needed
yeah,
help,
they
though.
said-
That's, I guess, the point of that was that, like, he's in pretty serious condition.
yeah. And the pile of heads was taller than he was what it says. So Danny kneels next to him, and it says the cut was wide but shallow. His left nipple was gone, and a flap of bloody flesh and skin dangled from his chest like a wet rag.
Ugh. Bro, that's gotta kill.
It sounds like it does.
And he's just sitting there taking it. That's the craziest thing. I mean,
Well, later when he gets healed
think
up.
I think he's
about
pretending to take it.
how bad. Like, he's done fighting now. The adrenaline's probably not as high as it once was. So he's just sitting there taking the pain. Like, it's gotta be burning. Just like
that's,
an open
that's
wound
exactly
like
what I
that.
was thinking. Like, oh, dude, the flap of skin just pulling on the open wound still too. No thanks. Rip that shit off.
Yeah, just
I
imagine.
don't think you can
like,
rip
just
it
think
off,
about-
though. Like, if it's that big, you're not just...
Just think about how bad a hangnail could hurt when you touch it the wrong way.
Yeah, dude, I have a paper cut right now that's bothering me.
But like most cuts like don't hurt once you're cut. You know what I mean? Like
This
Luke,
isn't a cut.
Like when
His
Luke
nipple
fucking
is hanging
like
off. He's missing a piece of chest.
Hey, hang on. Nelson, how about when you cut off your fingertip?
didn't hurt like once it hurt when it happened, but when it was bleeding for like 4 hours afterwards on the way to the hospital, it like throbbed. Cause like you know what I mean? It's throbbing because it's bleeding, but like it doesn't hurt at all. And like
I don't know,
Luke,
dude, my
like,
paper
one
cut
time
hurts.
Luke ran across my chest and gave me like a huge cut on my like stomach and chest that I still have a scar from, and it hurt when it happened, and I had it like fucking bled when I would like move and stand up every once in a while, but it didn't. Like it would hurt if I like stood up weird and like stretched the scab open, but like just like it being there and bleeding didn't hurt. I don't know. The thing where maybe the skin pulling would hurt, but I don't know. I don't think this is that painful.
I think the skin pulling would hurt.
The arrow probably painful anytime you move your arm, but
I don't know why he didn't take it out earlier. Like,
Well, you're supposed to leave that
break
shit
it and
in.
fucking pull it out.
yeah. So because if you pull it out right away, then it starts bleeding.
Yeah.
So once you pull it out,
true.
you got to wrap it up
If
right
you
away.
get stabbed,
basically.
you're supposed to leave it in, yeah.
Oh yeah. I
Tip.
forgot about that.
Sorry, tip.
So then this is when Drogo finds out about what Dany's been doing. This dude, Mago, rides up and bitches to Hago, who's one of Drogo's blood riders.
Hago darts his eyes over to Danny. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing, bitch?" Goes over to Drogo.
Well, hang on. Before we get too far, because we did already get too far, and I just remembered now. So when the first time she tries to get that girl saved, Jorah says, "So you really are your brother's sister?" And she's
Yeah, I
like,
said that.
"Viserys?"
Viserys, and he said no, Rhaegar.
Yeah, we talked about
I
that.
said, we didn't.
Yeah.
Nobody mentioned. I brought it up, and nobody said anything.
I didn't hear anybody
Yeah.
saying. So,
Yeah, I said it.
Yeah, Nelson said something. We just were like, "Yeah, cool."
so that means that Rhaegar wasn't that bad of a dude then, in Jorah's eyes at least. And you
Yeah,
don't have to
yeah,
agree.
I
I
guess.
guess this
Yeah,
is
no,
me
for
putting
sure,
stuff
for sure.
together.
In Jorah's eyes, I don't know how well Jorah knew Rhaegar.
But no, for sure. But based on I guess Kyle's right. Like I guess up to this point, we know what you know about Rhaegar is he raped,
I assumed he was bad. Yeah, exactly. But if
kidnapped, and raped Lyanna.
yeah, exactly.
and-
So I don't think
yeah.
he did anymore.
Oh, you don't think he did that?
Based off
Okay.
of this, it sounds
Gotcha.
like that is
I mean,
not
yeah.
something he would do.
Danny's literally saving people from being raped, and Jorah is saying you're like your brother.
Yeah. So I think that's a pretty big insight into. I think you guys talked about it a long time ago, but the unreliable narrator or whatever.
Oh yeah, good. Yeah.
I think it's a good point. Just want to bring up that we've heard multiple people in Westeros seem to think Rhaegar is not a good person. I think Ned and Robert and probably a few other people have mentioned that. And Jorah says it the other way. I'm not saying one's right, one's wrong. I'm saying it could be a mix of both, or one could be right.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying. It's like there might have been more going on with Lyanna than rape. It could have been, especially because he was the one that gave her the rose, right? Didn't we just give that a couple chapters ago? Mm-hmm. So like maybe
there was nothing malicious there except for the fact that he was married at the time he did that.
What I'm saying though is I guess maybe there was some I'm trying to think of the word, but there was maybe a secret relationship between the two of them, and that wasn't rape.
A little chemistry action.
And somebody found out, and shit got out of hand. And this might be what Ned's dreams have something to do with. Promise me, Ned. Promise me, Ned. I don't know. This is, I guess, I'm just trying to throw out that I've got more pieces to this puzzle. I know because you guys can't.
You're a suspect.
Yeah, like there's stuff unfolding and becoming clearer, I think.
There's some conflicting remarks throughout the series, correct? Or throughout this book.
All right, back to this part of the chapter before we spoil Kyle. Mago comes and tells Hago, who bitches to Drogo. Just a bunch of whisper down the lane. And eventually Drogo's like, Dany, tell me what happened. And she's like, yeah, I did it. They're my slaves. Or Drogo's like, these women are slaves and we do with them whatever we want. She's like, well, I don't want them to be raped. And she's like, this is when I think one of you guys said earlier, if they want them, they can like marry her.
If your warriors would mount these women, let them take them gently and keep them for wives. Give them places in the Calazar and let them bury your sons.
Yeah, I think a lot of the way Dany acts is why it's so hard for people to remember that she's 14 too. Like, this is like not something a child normally would, especially surrounded by like grown men who have just killed, like I said earlier, just killed a bunch of people.
But some of this probably comes from the way she was treated by Viserys too, though. Like, he beat the shit out of her, and she was pretty abused by him. So she's going to speak up for these people that don't have a voice. I think is probably part of it too.
Okay, I gotcha.
She's so young though. Like she's got some balls on her. Like
she's the blood of the dragon, and she has a stallion that mounts the world in her stomach. Yeah, dude.
I mean, she's definitely got an added swagger from being with Drogo and being pregnant with his kid. Like that's probably like the biggest insurance policy right now is that she's carrying Drogo's kid. Like she could probably do whatever she wanted just because.
Oh, for sure. That definitely helps her situation 100%.
So when she says that, Kotho's like, who's she says is the cruelest blood rider. He says, does the horse breed with sheep? And she like snaps on him. She's like, I said this earlier, dragon eats fucking both of them alike. And Drogo's like fired up. He's like, yeah, fucking, you get him, Dany. He's like, you better not, it's like, Kotho, you better not mess with Dany. She's fucking fired up. It's like because of my son in her stomach. It's like, and my son's gonna be fired up afterwards, so you better not fuck with him either once he's born.
Yeah,
he gonna kill you, son.
If she doesn't find you where you sit, the sun will trample you into the mud.
Exactly. And this is like Drogo's best friend, right? So I don't think he's saying this like in anger. I think it's like a joke. Like I think he's more joking, right? But
he is
not joking. I don't think he's
fierce.
Joking, but yeah, I don't think he's angry about this. Yeah, and he just tell Mago to go find a new girl. Which is kind of going back to what Jeff says. Like, she didn't save all of them. There's definitely a lot more people out there getting raped. And it seems like Mago takes it not as like, oh, damn, I wanted to rape somebody, now I can't, but more of as like, how dare do you think you have the ability to tell me what I can and can't do? At least that's the way I take it, because the fact that I know there has to be just a ton of other girls to rape. Right?
Right. And that was my whole point. There's just more girls out there than these 7 that she saved. Like, I'll just go rape that girl.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is Mago isn't taking this about, I can't rape somebody. I think he's taking about this, like, how dare this little girl tell me
who I can and can't. Yeah, I mean, it's a big slap in the face for sure.
She didn't save enough, and she should save every single person that.
I understand that too, but.
She's trying, man. She's a little girl.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I agree with you guys. I'm just saying that.
We're fighting Jeff.
I'm just pointing out. That's what's Mago's pissed off about. He's not pissed off about the fact that he can't rape anybody. He's pissed off at Dany specifically for like.
Who's this chick coming in here from Westeros thinking we can change our ways? Fuck her.
And then Drogo, he's like trying to reach out, and touch her, and you can tell he's fucking in pain because he's got an arrow and his tits hanging off.
And this is when Danny's like, we need to get you healers. And Kaloho is the other Blood Riders like, we already had him here. You sent him away. And Drogo's like, this arrow is no more than a bite of a fly. And this cut is a new scar to boast to my son. It's just like, this guy's a silver lining.
I can see your muscle, man. This isn't good. Yeah. You need to get that looked at.
What is fucked up was that Jorah was like, earlier in the chapter, fine. Just a couple cuts. Yeah, just a couple cuts. He's fine.
Just but the scratch.
His nipple's hanging off, for Christ's sake.
This is when Danny's like, fuck that, we're going to get you a new healer right now. And this is when one of the slaves she saved says, yo, I got this. I'll help you. And her name is Miri Mazdur.
Step off, sheep fucker.
Well, they talked earlier, right? Her and Danny, just a little bit, where they talked about how she was like of Western.
I think she says she looks like these people, flat face and squat body, but she says one of the slaves she saved spoke the common tongue to her.
Yeah.
And then here she says it's that slave who speaks up. Yep. But yeah, they didn't. You're right. They didn't really meet, but they.
But she's lucky that she speaks. I'm going to say English, but the common tongue.
English.
The D&D language.
Yeah, common.
Common.
She's really lucky that she speaks common.
Also, they call the planet Earth here. A lot of people in the fandom call the planet that this takes place on Earth because it's Westeros and Essos. So they call it Planetos for Westeros and Essos. And there's actually Sothuro, so people just call it Planetos. But it's a few times people call the planet Earth.
Where?
Miri Mazdur later on says, like, I was put on this earth, like, we were all of one big flock, and I was put on this earth to save all the sheep or whatever.
But earth also means ground.
Yes, I agree.
Oh, okay. But God
was it capitalized?
But no, it wasn't. God put me on.
They don't live on Earth.
But that earth is a synonym with dirt, and you wouldn't say God put me on this dirt to save all the people.
But anyway, so she's like, I'm here to help. Like, I've been through a lot of shit before. I'm excellent at giving birth, like, or helping people give birth. Like, I'm pretty good to have around.
Yeah. So as she's like, they get into like her qualifications a bit later, but like I think Jeff said, they're not like the Dothraki guys are not happy. They're like, fuck. They're like, not this lady. Like, hit this bitch out.
Magi. How do you say
it? Magi?
Well, it's just like a witch, right? And then what they're trying to call her.
Yeah.
So it says, a Magi was a woman who lay with demons and practiced the blackest of sorceries, a vile thing, evil and soulless, who came to men in the dark of night and sucked the life and strength from their bodies.
Like a succubus, I guess, and at that point.
Isn't that a plant? A succubus?
No.
I think so.
No, you're stupid is showing, Nelson. A succulent. Is a plant. A succubus is a woman that seduces men to suck the life out of them.
Oh, how about that?
In what, fantasy stuff?
Yeah, succubi, succubus.
Well, I used to skip through those cutscenes, so I never learned that word.
I'm sure it's in books and stuff. I don't know what you're talking about.
What, succubus?
But yeah, like a bad.
Never heard of that word before.
And what, they say that when she says what? She's a priestess, right? She's a god's wife.
Well, and they're like, you're you only know how to heal a lamb. Like, yeah, get out of here.
Well, again, I think that's more of them saying you only know how to heal your people. But at one point they do say, like, you only lay with you. They accuse her of laying with sheep or something. And she's like, no, I'm a healer. I'm not a
They call it God's wife. Her mom was the God's wife.
Yeah, she says.
Which is like a midwife, right? I mean, same idea.
I looked it up. It's like the
I'm just thinking
Google
of
said
like
priestess. Google said God wife means priestess.
Okay.
Look up what incubus is.
Thought we were talking about succubus.
Yeah, there you go. It is the same thing. Yep.
Except he goes and rapes women in their sleep.
Why are you laughing about that?
It's a band name. It's about a demon who.
That's kind of ballsy making that your band name.
I think it's a Game of Thrones word.
Maggie is.
So they end up they take him inside the Great Onion Dome, right? The mud dome.
Yeah, they go in because that's where the healing power is the strongest, is under the dome.
Yeah, she gives after they give her credentials. She has like some weird credentials. She said like, so at first she's like learned a lot of stuff from her mom, and then she said when she was young she traveled to Ashai, and learned
The Shadowland.
the Shadowland, and Moonsinger of the She said in a Shire, a lot of people came and went, so she learned like stuff from all over. A Moonsinger of Jogos Night gifted me with birthing songs. A woman of your own riding people taught me the magics of the grass and corn and horse, and a maester of the sunset lands opened a body for me and showed me all the secrets that hide beneath the skin. So in there, Jorah is surprised that she studied with a maester, and like doesn't really believe it, I don't think, at first. And he's like, oh yeah? Well, what did he have on his neck? And she's like, a chain. And he's like, oh, snap.
Well, and his name is fucking Marwyn. Like, she's like name drops him. And he's like, oh, I know who he is.
I don't
Does he
think
say
Jorah
No, he
knows.
didn't. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think the chain is what gave it away. He's
Yeah.
like, okay, this girl actually knows what he's talking about. Because that's what he tells Dany, right? He's like, yeah, they actually wear those.
Yeah, only a man trained in the old town that wears such a chain. That's what it was, the chain, yeah. You're right.
Again, I don't know. Maybe they are pretty far east, so maybe they don't know too much about Westeros. But it doesn't seem like you would need to know that much about Westeros to know maesters wear chains.
You skipped the best line, though, is that she said, she called him Iron Lord because he's in fucking metal armor.
And he calls her Silver Lady. Armor Lord and Silver Lady.
Wait, who's Silver Lady?
That's what he calls Dany.
Oh, really?
Silver
Yeah,
lady.
he calls her a lot towards the end of the chapter. Because of her hair. I'm
That's
assuming.
too funny. I didn't notice that. I got the Iron Lord, though. That was...
I think her comment is probably a little bit rough. Dany basically says, like, I want you to heal Drogo. And she's like, we're all of one. This one, she says, we're all of one flock. I was put here to heal them. And then Kaloho smacks her. She's like, we're all of one flock, and I'm here to heal anyone. And she's like, whoosh, we're not sheep. And Dany's like, yo, fucking watch that, dude. And Drogo's like, all right, fine. She can help me. What happens once they get in the temple? In the
Pull
onion.
out the arrow.
What's his name pulls her aside and is like, yo, if anything happens to Drogo, the same shit's gonna happen to you. And that's basically it, right?
Yeah, Tamir Mazdor.
But, like, she's like, okay. It's pretty much what she says. Like, all right, I'm going to try and
Chill
help him.
vibes.
Yeah.
Like, that was what she was trying to do. So I think that was pretty cool. That she was honorable, even after the situation that she was going to be in.
Yeah, I bet you what Dany did probably influences her decision to help out here a little
Yeah, oh,
bit.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. But
I doubt she'd be jumping at this if she was like over on a pile getting raped, like, oh yeah, I'll help you.
But I guess what I'm,
that's not
I can heal.
this is also a piece that she can play later, and it's a piece that Dany can play later as well. Like, look, one of them even saved her fucking life.
Well, the thing is, Dany says here, my time is near. So later she's talking about childbirth, right?
Yeah.
And I think you're probably right. Like, Mir Mazdor might not be an idiot. If she's trying to get in Dany's good graces, and Dany's near, she has to be showing. It has to be, like, physically obvious.
She's got.
Oh,
So
she can barely walk.
Yeah, and so, like, Mir Mazdor just, like, walking. I just picture Mir Mazdor, like, walking around and just be like, oh, yeah, like, I'm good at healing. I can fix that arrow, and I can deliver babies. I can fix that cut. I can deliver babies. I can fix that paper cut. I can deliver babies. Just, like, get me near this queen who saved me from being raped that'll never be raped again is, like, probably what I'd be thinking if I was in her spot, too, right?
Yeah,
So, I
fair
mean,
enough.
it makes sense. So, Dany, and again, Dany even thinks to herself, like, basically, I think it's right after what Glow said, like, oh, this is awesome. She's helping us. She goes, she gets, like, the needles, knives, boiled wine, put some fancy incense on, and then this is where they say, like, what she did. She takes some, like, paste and puts it on, like, the meat, and then folds the skin back on top, and then puts some red paste, and then, like, leaves and a lambskin. I think she said they put, like, leaves around his arm too, and she's like,
Fuck old medicine is what I was going to say. Like, that sounds awful.
I mean, I don't know what they do. I guess they basically probably do the same thing now, but instead of, like, herbs, it's like an actual medicine that they put on
Well,
you.
and you're probably under as well. It's the other side of it. Like, just smearing shit in your open wound has to be brutal.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
Well, Drogo's a badass. Didn't wince once. Didn't say
That's
a word.
not true.
I think they said he's
pain.
pretty close to wincing at the very
The
least.
cow ground his teeth together and swallowed a scream.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know. She says, like, do you
They
want
sewed
to
him
bite
up.
on something? And he says no or something. I forget what it was, but
When he says,
no
I
to
sing my
something.
scars.
Yeah, she says there'll be fever, itching, and a great scar when you're done. He's like, I sing of my scars. She's like, no alcohol or milk of the poppy. And he's like, I drink what I fucking want.
I spit on pain is his other line.
I drink what I want. I'm the cow. And she's like, he's like, let's get the fuck out of here. I want to go ride. And then he goes, like, tells his boys to come with him, and they go. But the one guy stops to remind Miri that whatever happens to the cow happens to you. And she says something.
The great shepherd guards the flock.
The great shepherd will guard the flock.
There we go.
End chapter. And I think it was a pretty lame chapter.
That's like your opinion, man.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that what we're all here for? Is to give our opinions on the book and
no, Kyle's opinion.
Yeah, that's what Kyle's
okay.
here.
Mine's only
You're here so I can prove you wrong in the spoiler section. Make myself look good.
You've been losing that battle. That's a fact.
Kyle, anything on this?
No, I mean, I think we went through it all in the chapter there.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's really any predictions to be made out of this other than I think Dany's going to try and start a movement in terms of, and like I said, this stuff we talked about the whole chapter, but like, I hate to say civilizing these people because that has been used as like an excuse to fucking ruin native cultures all over the world. But like
genocide.
Yeah, it's been used to you call them savages and then you got to go civilize them, and then they might have some resources that you can steal too. Yeah, but exactly. That's really what she's going to be doing is bringing some at least human rights to some of these people. How's that? That's probably the better way.
She's bringing human rights to other people.
Yeah, that didn't have any of this.
I guess I don't understand. I'm not like I don't know enough about the real world. I know more about Westeros than the real world, but like
it shows. It's very obvious, Nelson.
But like Dany, she's trying to make change to this culture, but she's trying to affect people of another culture.
Is she though?
Right.
That's her. That's her rightfully bloodborne seat.
No. I'm saying she's not trying to help the people of the Khalasar. She's trying to help the people that the Khalasar fuck over.
Correct.
But it's in turn it helps the people of the Khalasar be better people, Nelson.
I get. Oh yeah, helps them
better human beings.
Okay. Yeah, gotcha.
It's the same issue. It's just
I gotcha.
That's all I'm getting at. I guess is I say this isn't the last time that we see Dany do things against the grain.
At some point, those slaves are part of the Khalasar, right? Like they become part of the Khalasar, and I'm sure a lot of the slaves that are part of the Khalasar walking behind the Khalasar every day are getting raped at night by the riders, right? So if she is, I guess, helping her own culture. If you count those slaves as part of your culture, which I guess you should, because where else do you count them?
And I don't want this to be like another. I mean, it's gonna sound awful, but I'm sure the slaves have their part in the Dothraki culture, right? They're probably in charge of doing the tents, right? Like setting up the tents, taking tents down, finding food, doing laundry, whatever it might be. I have no idea. Once this starts to happen, like, are the riders then gonna be like, oh, well, I guess I'll put up my own tent and shit like that? Like, there's always pushback with change.
I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure about this, but I feel like the Dothraki, unlike most other cultures in these books that have slaves, and I might be totally wrong, I just feel like we don't hear about them actually being like servants often. I guess Eerie and Jiqui are just completely proving me wrong, but it just seems to me like Dothraki treat more slaves more as a commodity to be sold instead of like a good to own, right?
Yeah.
I agree with that. I mean, they're nomads. They don't really need slaves to take care of them.
And based off what Jorah said, he's like just basically thinking of where to immediately sell these slaves was the first thing he thought of.
But what are they going to do when they get sold somewhere? Be slaves.
The slaves are going to be slaves, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, they're still technically
But they're not just slaves to the Dothraki, so they don't have a need for them, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Either way. Bad news for the slaves.
That's all I really have out of this one, though, is I think that's, you see her trying to impact the Dothraki people. We've seen so far all we've seen is how the Dothraki and all this has changed Dany. Really?
And now it's going the other way. And
so now it's kind of, exactly. It's she's kind of learning her place there. She understands that she holds some power there and then can do some things that she wants to see done.
Yeah.
It's not also, all one way at this point.
It's cool that she like last chapter, maybe I guess it was 2 chapters ago, Dany like really embraced all those Dothraki traditions of like going into the womb of the world and eating the fucking heart.
Eating the heart.
Yeah. And now we start to see like it's like obviously eating the heart doesn't make you more like Dothraki, but she's definitely like accepting the culture.
There was a time where she like was really like, oh, I'm about to be Dothraki. And that was just the feeling, right? She changed what she was wearing.
She said that like earlier in one of like chapter 3 or 4, she said like every day she woke up with like riding sores, and Drogo was just like pounding her every night, and she hated it. And then like eventually the riding sores got less bad, and her nights with Drogo became like pleasurable. Is like basically how that happened. It all happened in like a paragraph. She's like, it went from being shitty to okay, I don't hate it, and now it's like I can kind of where I'm at now is like I'm kind of accepting this and like filling into my role. But yeah, I think besides that, Kyle had a good insight about a mention of Rhaegar that I won't go more into until he's gone. But yeah, that's it for this chapter. We'll see you in the next one.
Who's Rhaegar?
Who? I forget.
All right, Cal. Good hanging out, friend.
Did I find all my optional side quest information?
Yes.
In the chapter? Okay.
The optional
More
side
hidden
quest.
subtext I missed.
If you want to find out if there's more stuff that Kyle missed, hang out and join us in the spoiler section of Dany 7. We'll see you in the next one of I don't know what the next chapter is.
See you later, Cal. It's Tyrion.
Uh-oh.
Tyrion.
Oh, shit.
Tyrion, insert number.
Tyrion 8.
Nelson knows what's coming. We'll read it then.
Kyle, do you remember what happened in the last Tyrion episode?
Yeah, that was when he went in and talked to his dad.
Daddy.
Yeah.
Daddy.
His dad's like, yeah, you're going to fight
Daddy's playing war.
Some pussies, dude. Go fight pussies.
All right, guys. Good night.
All right, night,
Bye,
Kyle.
Kyle.
I'm going to miss you, bud.
Bye,
See you guys.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
See you later, Kyle. It's great hanging out, bud.
Bye, Kyle.
Hope you stay safe shoveling snow and going to work tomorrow. Now, on to the spoiler section of Daenerys 7. Boys, got any hot takes on this one?
Nothing too hot, but there's definitely
Nothing
some stuff to
hot
talk
except
about.
Mir Mazdor kills Drogo.
I just have a couple of questions, and that's basically all I got.
All right, let's go.
All right, I'll start it off. Marwyn and Ashai. When Mir Mazdur is talking about him, he's saying dragons are, I don't know if they say rule or roaming. I forget exactly what she says, but dragons are in there. So he's alive during the Targaryen dynasty. It sounds like the way she said it, though, that dragons are actually
you think
alive.
Marwyn was alive during the Targaryen dynasty? I thought this.
It says dragons are roaming, and
I think this was a really weird passage too, and I picked up on it. I don't.
Is this Mir Mazdor's passage we're talking about?
And that's what I'm saying. First of all, were dragons still alive? And how
dragons definitely weren't.
How old is fucking Marwyn?
He must have been talking about like Targaryens, not like actual dragons, right? Because Targaryens were in control 16 years ago, and I'm sure Marwyn's older than 16. Mir Mazdor is, Dany says, is at least 40, right? So I'm taking that to mean like Targaryens ruled. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they were in Ashai, and our friend or lady, the red lady.
Is this when she explains her credentials?
She has that fucking gem that makes her look younger. Who's to say that Marwyn doesn't have fucking some mystical powers to make him have longevity?
You're right. I don't think so. Do you remember
Where
the way
men are
Marwyn's
iron and
described?
dragons rule is what it says.
Yeah. Do you remember the way that Marwyn's described later in book 5?
No clue.
Little fat guy.
At the end of book 4. Yeah, Sam says he does not look like a maester. He looks like somebody who would fight you before he like taught you. He says like he's like spitting he's like sour leaf or whatever they chew on, right? Just like does not look like a maester at all. But what I found most interesting, who else do we know that studied with Marwyn?
Lewin?
Q. No, Q guy.
Qyburn. What happened to Qyburn?
He got expelled for experimenting on dead or
bodies,
people.
right?
For cutting open bodies.
Yeah.
He was doing vivisections, right? Basically, the way it comes off is he was doing vivisections. He was cutting open living people in order to determine how the body worked.
Oh,
right?
I didn't know that. I thought it was.
That's his explanation. There's theories that he's literally attempting surgery, right? He's very not confident that it's going to succeed, but it's not like he's just going to cut somebody open for the hell of cutting them open, and that he's cutting people open to try and fix them, right? And what does Mir Mazdor say she learned from Marwyn?
Autopsies, cutting people open and seeing how they work.
Exactly. It's like a maester from the Sunset Land showed me how to cut open the body and like how everything works inside. So weird that both the only two people we hear study under Marwyn, besides like the people who are there when Sam gets there, the only two people we hear of are both like, they both mentioned that they did dissections / vivisections. It's kind of weird. Marwyn, you guys know, I think he's super fascinating. He's got a glass candle. There's some weird stuff up with Miramez's door, obviously.
How much of the glass candles do we actually know like,
we know Marwyn has one.
we know Marwyn has
Yeah,
one.
but
When
what
do we find out
information
that like
on
they
the glass
control
candle?
dreams and shit like that?
Quaithe tells her.
Quaithe tells
shows
her.
Dany's like asleep or like in her pool in the pyramid of Marine, and Quaithe like shows up out of nowhere, and she's like, "What? How are you here?" And she's like, "I'm not here." She's like, "The glass candles are burning." She says a bunch of fucking weird shit, and then Dany like calls for Barristan
Dany
or
then
somebody.
wakes up or something like
Dany
that.
calls for Barristan, and Barristan runs in, and she's not there. This happens like 2 or 3 times. I think it happens once when she's in bed on one of the ships going from like.
So is it
Astapor to
almost
Marine or
like
something.
But was Dany
Force
asleep or was
projects.
she awake? If she called,
She thinks she's awake, but they say that I think whatever the weirdness is like, they say that you can talk to people through dreams. I think Marwyn says that, or Lewin. Somebody says that like glass candles are meant for like talking across vast distances.
yeah,
Basically.
I was gonna say it's not like Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader, like what's it called?
Palpatine and Vader. I don't know what you're talking about. The Force.
Come on, no,
Force
when they
Force projection.
no, they holograms, like they talk through hologram type shit, like.
So this is weird, right? It's weird because like there are theories that say like, oh, is Game of Thrones sci-fi instead of fantasy? And like, what could a glass candle be? Something that like glows and makes all the colors in the room, like, because Sam says like it makes everything like kind of light up weird in the room. I'm thinking like, it's because they talk about it doing dreams. It doesn't make sense, but like a phone, right? A phone is something that to like somebody in the Middle Ages would look like a fucking piece of glass, and it lights up. So it's like a glass can. I could see somebody calling a phone a glass candle in like ancient times, right? When you don't have another way to describe that.
Oh yeah, and then you're calling people up, yo, dude.
Exactly, and they don't. That doesn't seem like how these glass candles work, right? But like I could see it, and at the end of the story, being like, "Oh, this was actually like something from the far, far future." I am not one of those people that subscribe to that theory, but I wouldn't be crazy surprised if it went that way. One thing is, we did tell Erie that we'd talk about her Dany comment in this chapter.
I forget what
her
was
comment.
name?
Her name was Erie S. Luna. She commented.
Yeah, we just called her.
She goes by
I
goes
think
by
we
Erie.
use Erie and Luna. I don't remember.
Yeah, she
Yeah, I
told
think
us to
so.
go by Erie. I think we were calling her Luna, and she told us she goes by Erie. So, but her comment about Dany, we told her we talk about it in the next Dany chapter. So we're here. We're gonna have to keep it kind of short because I got to go here soon. But the comment is, she wanted to say something about the red door. If the lemon tree is the only evidence that could easily be explained, Dany and Viserys are staying with the Sea Lord of Braavos. That can easily be explained. They're staying with the Sea Lord of Braavos. He has a menagerie, so he has exotic animals and could easily have exotic plants. In Ireland, exotic plants were just a status symbol of the rich, which would explain the lemon tree.
Boom. Get fucked, Nelson.
But Nelson brought some George R.R. Martin quote. Someone wrote to George about the lemon tree, and so Nelson's going to bring
But
that
that
to
would
our
be
attention
telling.
now.
Exactly. Dany and Viserys staying in Dorne. It would be too dangerous. Sorry for the rant. So yeah, I think this is a good comment, and this is like one of the most discussed. This is like probably one of the most accepted theories. I think that this lemon tree is not from Dorne. A few evidences of it are, I don't have it offhand, but you can look it up. Look up George R. R. Martin lemon tree email, and somebody basically said like, "Hey George, I've noticed that Dany mentions this lemon tree in Braavos, but Braavos is not a tropical climate. Would lemon trees be able to grow there? Is this something that is going to be revealed later?" And he's like, "Oh yes, this will." Oh, I can't say that. That would be telling. ... And there's multiple times anytime lemons are really brought up in these books, unless it's like lemon cakes or something like that, like a food, like an actual like food that was made with lemons. And even a lot of times then, people are just saying basically where they can and can't grow is the only time they're discussed, right? So there's people where Anguy the Archer, when Arya is going through the Riverland, shows up at a Riverland like inn and is like, "Oh, do you have any lemons? Or do you have any? I love duck cooked with lemons," or something like that. And she's like, "Lemons? What do you think this is? Dorne?"
Yeah.
In one of the Winds of Winter sample chapters, literally, it's when I think it's Rast.
I didn't read it.
I won't spoil anything. It's when Rast goes, it's kind of in the show as well. It's when Rast goes to Bravos. One of the people on Arya's list goes to Bravos. And there's a part where Arya's spying on him and he's talking to he's a Lannister guard, as there's a Lannister guard, and he's talking to another Lannister guard. And he says, where are all the orange trees? I always heard there was citrus, lemons and limes in Bravos, or in the Free Cities. And then the other guard says, in Mir and Lyce and Tyros, this is Bravos, you idiot. We're north of King's Landing. And like Lily calls him an idiot for thinking that, like, there's one character, Lily calls another character an idiot for thinking lemons grow in Bravos. And again, what Erie's saying here, I could see this being accurate. This is just George giving a huge misdirect, like lemons can't be in Bravos. And then when they are, because of the Sea Lord, and it makes sense, we're all like, I should have known that. But there's a bunch of other stuff There's a bunch of other stuff that kind of hints that Dany wasn't there. She thinks about the red door. In the last chapter we read, where she went to the perfume, goes to the market and she sells all the perfumes. And she says just one whiff, and she was back there smelling the scents of her childhood, and she could picture the red door. Arya tells us that like Bravos does not smell like perfume. It smells like fishes and salt water. And Dany
don't know
remembers
if Bravos smelling like perfumes either, do we?
No, Arya tells us.
Doran.
We don't know if it smells like perfume, but we know Bravos doesn't. We hear Dany we hear about her, and she always thinks about going barefoot right outside this house with the red door, feeling her feet in the grass. And when she's in Bravos, or Arya in Bravos says that there's only 3 types of weather. Rainy, foggy, and foggy rainy. Right. This does not sound like a place you go barefoot in your grass.
Sounds like England.
And yeah, it's not somewhere you like Bravos is not somewhere you run around barefoot in grass. And also one part, Dany has a dream where she's walking towards the red door from inside, where she's walking down a hallway towards the red door barefoot, and her footprints are leaving like bloody, I think it's actually in a chapter or 2. Her footprints are leaving bloody prints on the stone. And when she goes through this hallway, and when she comes outside the red door, she hears like sights and sounds of her childhood, and she sees green fields and other stone buildings, like tall stone like houses. So my thing is, if she's in the Sea Lord Bravos, in the Sea Lord's palace, then when she comes out, maybe there's grass, but there wouldn't be other houses nearby, like the same size. And basically everything I just said is a bunch of other like smaller hints, and we'll see them as we go, of why Dany is probably not in Bravos. It's not just the lemon tree. A lot of it is due to like sights and sounds that we hear of people from Bravos versus what Dany recollects, just not matching up. And we don't get too much about Dorne until the Arianne chapters later, so we don't actually have as much information about Dorne.
What's the allotted age when Dany says like she's thinking about the red door? Are people giving her
4 or 5? Because I think she says William Darry dies when she's like 4 or 5, and she says they're kicked out of the house with the red door shortly after he dies because they ran out of money.
Yeah, I mean the other thing is like maybe her memories are just completely off. Like maybe, you know, what she thought was a lemon tree is actually like not a lemon tree.
Her memories are through rose-colored glasses.
Yeah.
Also, one of the major houses, one of the houses in Dorne, House Dalt, their sigils.
A lemon?
Lemons. Yeah, it's a bunch of lemons. So
yeah, I mean, I don't have much again. What's the big? Again, if she's not in Bravos and she's in Dorne, what's the big?
The Dorne thing is big because the theory that I'm behind, right, where Dany's born in the Tower of Joy. Tower of Joy's in Dorne. So like they just have her there and they raise her there. It doesn't really make sense why she would be like born in Dorne
unless she was born in
kind of, yeah. I mean, again, a lot of people do think that because there's way more people who buy into this lemon tree theory, but don't buy into the Dany was born in the Tower of Joy thing.
So if Dany was born in the Tower of Joy, she's the daughter of Lyanna. Father is
Rhaegar.
Her father's Rhaegar.
Which again, we get in this chapter. Jorah compares her to Rhaegar, not as a brother or as a brother. But again, I think this is just another indication. I mean, look, you're like your fucking parents. Again, you're like people are like their siblings as well. So that like obviously any comparison of Dany to Rhaegar could just be being compared to your brother. But it's weird how she's always said she's not like. Why is she completely not like one brother who she was raised with, and completely like the other brother who she wasn't? Well, maybe because she's the son of that brother, and not actually like a sibling to the brother who's an asshole.
I mean that's far fetched. You don't have to be exactly
different
like
siblings
a
that
sibling.
are assholes and different children that are totally different than their parents.
For sure. Again, nothing that I'm saying is like 100%. Oh, you're right. Dany has to be born in the Tower of Joy, but it all makes you everything like kind of makes you raise an eyebrow a little bit.
So I would like the fact that Dany is Lyanna's kid and Jon isn't, just for the fact that George lied to D&D's face and said, "Ha, yeah, you guys are right. You guys can have the job."
At this point, I think the most likely thing, because of what he said to D&D, is that they're twins. I think a lot of people would like that better too, just because, like you said, I feel like a lot of people.
Aren't they 9 months apart?
George says that in another email too. He said they're probably born about, they were born about 9 months apart or something like that. So I don't know.
So say Dany's born.
Most likely is Jon is Rhaegar and Lyanna's son, and Dany is who we think Dany is from, right?
All right, hold on. If Dany's born in the Tower of Joy, then who does her mom give birth to at the Dragonstone or wherever?
Miscarriage. And there's actually, I think that we hear that Dany's mom was. I think we hear that Dany's mom was really infertile in the last few years of her life. Like they were trying to have more kids and they couldn't. We also, the only person we ever hear about the storm from is Dany. Stannis says that there was actually a fleet. Stannis's fleet, or a Baratheon fleet, was inside Blackwater Bay. I don't have a map readily available, but
I don't think it's like crazy close, is it?
Blackwater Bay is here, or Dragonstone is here, and King's Landing is here. This is Blackwater Bay. Right, it's literally right.
I thought Blackwater.
It's in the bay.
What's the bay splitting Dorne from the other piece of Westeros?
That's the Sea of Dorne.
Oh.
Like literally, like Dragonstone is right in the mount. Like right once the Blackwater Bay opens up, that's where Dragonstone is. It's very close. And there's a storm that supposedly destroys all of the Dragonstone ships, but none of the Baratheon ships. And no one else mentions a storm at all except for Dany. So like there's just like a lot of weird stuff that doesn't make sense about like why, like how Dany's, like how basically they're accounting for a missing fleet, and they're just accounting for all this stuff that doesn't make sense. Again, I don't have the evidence for that. I've heard theories about it. I might be completely wrong on some of that stuff. That's kind of where I'm at. I think, again, most likely 95% chance Jon is Rhaegar and Lyanna's. Dany is who we think Dany is. But I think that we have an interesting opportunity to speculate where we're at, right? In 2 years, if the book is out, maybe we don't get to speculate about this anymore. And I've wasted how much of my life on a theory that was stupid. But I don't know. I think it's fun to talk about and speculate about. So
no, I mean, it's definitely fun.
Besides this, I mean, there's something up with Mir Mazdor. I don't know exactly what. Again, there's a lot of theories that go around this. Maybe we'll dig into more later because I don't have a ton of time.
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of Mir Mazdor coming up, so.
My one thing with Mir Mazdor, she says the Great Shepherd watches over the flock. Is the Great Shepherd a part of the whole gods situation where we got the Great Other, R'hllor, the old gods, the 7 gods? Basically, I put them in different teams. Like, all right, we got the fucking Great Other on the bad side. We got R'hllor
it's just
on
the glow. It's just
side.
a many-faced god. It's just a many-faced god. It's all one.
It's all one. You think everything's one?
All one, many-faced god. I'm the Arya religion.
Yeah, me too.
That's not a bad idea. But no,
like,
I think there's different
I don't
sides.
think that's true.
Sides
Yeah.
I mean, there could be more than 2 sides, but I'm just saying.
I think a lot of the gods in this are like ununderstood powers, right? The old gods are Bloodraven. Potentially not. But like Bloodraven does stuff and people contribute it to
the old gods,
right? Melisandre kind of bends the rules a little bit sometimes to make people think that there's commands from the Red God that aren't really from the Red God.
But sometimes she does see
Same thing with the many-faced god,
commands
right?
or images.
But the same thing with the many-faced god. Arya's out here killing people, and again, I don't think she's like a huge, like really devote to this religion, but she's doing it on the concept of, oh, this is the god, like we're giving the gift of mercy because the god wants us to, right? That's like kind of the religion of that. So you have this, and George R. R. Martin is very atheist. So I think it's telling that you have all these power figures, Bloodraven, Melisandre, potentially Marwyn. I don't know if people contribute this to godness or anything. Even so, one thing interesting, and again, you guys haven't read the Winds of Winter stuff, but Euron starts kind of acting borderline godlike, not godlike, but like he's trying
like
kind of like he's trying to fill that role. He's trying to become on the status of Bloodraven or Melisandre, somebody who can manipulate others like that. You guys will see what I'm talking about. I think it's one of my favorite chapters in probably the series.
And you're saying the cousin, or
it's an Aeron chapter.
Aeron is the sea,
Aeron Damphair.
He's like the priest.
the sea priest. Yeah, okay. He's the uncle of Theon, correct?
Yeah, they're all uncles.
So Euron becomes
Euron's the evil
one. Euron becomes the drowned god.
He like is kind of. I think he's like he claims that in the show and stuff, right? And I think he's trying to achieve that status in the books. But I think it's interesting how George is basically saying that like all these religions are just like power constructs around, or, again, not all of them, right? The Seven doesn't seem to have this, but these are like power constructs around like a real life figure that kind of uses his power to manipulate others through a religion. I don't think George is making like a huge critique of this, but it's interesting that like you can see his views on religion. Like he doesn't take, I think you can tell he clearly doesn't take religion very seriously through how
he's added like
13
13 religions into this.
Well, I think he understands that religion is impactful to society. You know what I mean? Like religion impacts society. If you,
no matter what.
Again, he bases a lot of this stuff off real history and how many, again, this is kind of top of my head, but I bet you majority of the battles that were fought over the course of history were religious in some like connotation, right? That might be far-fetched because I feel like we're kind of getting away from that in like modern days, but like most battles in the past had something to do with religion.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, a lot of them. I mean, like you think of the Crusades and like all the shit that's still going on in the Middle East now. I mean,
yeah, I mean, even
Israelis fighting the Palestinians.
Even stuff where the church takes like a firm stance against something, right? And that like then wars come from that. It just, I don't know. It's interesting that the religions, again, the Lamb God is one that we actually don't hear of very much at. Like once Miriam Mazdor is gone, we really don't hear about it at all. Except I think maybe in passing, Arya will say like, oh, I saw the statue of the goat god in the fucking temple or whatever. But that's pretty much it.
Please call it the Great Shepherd, dude. Get it right.
One thing here is Miriam Mazdor tells Drogo, don't drink wine or milk of the poppy. And he just like gets, so basically, I'm setting this up for when Drogo dies, potentially Miriam Mazdor wasn't trying to kill him. And again, I'm not very strong on this either way. But
why? She like gloats about it afterwards.
Not really.
Yeah, like you.
In the show, she
people.
does. In the show, she says like I'd already been raped. I don't know exactly how it goes in the books, but in the show, you're right. She says like I was already raped by 4 riders when you saved me, and he's like, and the reason I let your baby die was so that he doesn't become the next Khal Drogo and sack another city and do this to another. Like he's like, me killing your baby saved potentially how many other people is kind of her argument in the show. I don't think it's like that in the books. I'm not 100% sure.
In a couple chapters,
we will.
I kind of forget how it's like too. I don't know if she gloats or not.
Yeah, I don't remember this chapter.
I
remember what happened, so I don't remember.
It might be Khal Drogo's own fault.
It might be his own fault. I mean, we don't know what the ointment she's putting on his shit now is. It could easily be malicious, but what she does to the arrow wound is what we hear like a good macer would do, right? Basically snap it off, pull it out, pour boiling wine on it, and wrap it up. So like she treats that wound correctly. I guess you don't need to treat she's probably
trying to get a little bit of trust going, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I can see it going either way. And
but the wounds do end up festering though, right? Like,
but again, he pulls it off. She says leave it on for 10 days and 10 nights. He pulls it off after like 2 days and drinks and gets fucked up every single night.
Yeah.
So like, can you blame her? Is it his fault? I don't know.
His fault for sure.
It could go both. It could go both ways, right? But I'm not sure. I'll definitely look into some more Mirror Mazdor theories later on. I know there's a lot of theories of, oh, she's on Illyrio's side. Illyrio placed her here. This is all part of the plan. Or, oh no, she's put here by Marwyn to go against Illyrio's plan. Illyrio's original plan was just get Dany to a shy so they could hatch the eggs. Blah, blah, blah. A bunch of stuff like that. But we'll look into that a little bit more as we get more with Mirror Mazdor going forward.
All right.
You guys
let's
got
go.
anything else?
No,
Wrap
that's
it up.
for me.
All right, I'll see you guys later. Everyone have a good night, and
Please like, subscribe, comment. All right, everyone. The night is dark
Bye.
and full of terrors.